Um, so yes, I'm born in Israel, and at the age of 5, we left the whole family to Guatemala. After Guatemala, we moved to Panama. Everything because of my father's work. So I was raised in Panama my whole childhood, and then I came back to Israel, traveled around.
And you settled here in
Yeah,
South
now
Africa.
now I'm here in South Africa in Cape Town.
What did Dad do just as a travel?
He has an export company. He specializes in watermelons, like
Interesting.
pumpkins. So he helps the farmers grow the product, and then he exports them overseas.
Okay. Did you live in Panama City? Or?
No, actually in David, Chiriquí. I don't know if you're familiar with the place. And then when I went back to Panama after my 20 years old, I went to Bocas del Toro, and that's where I stayed for 2 years of my life. I fell in love with that place.
Really? I saw you traveled a little bit throughout, like, Latin America. Like, you did Mexico, you went back to Panama for a little bit. Was that just, like, because you were used to it, or was there a specific reason you went back to that bit?
So after, in Israel, it's mandatory to do the army. I
Yeah.
think I told you a little bit about that. And then after the army, I went for a yoga course that really just opened my mind and connected me to myself. And I realized that I just want to live Israel again for good, you know. And I left with a small backpack, a little bit of my savings. And I don't know why, but I chose Mexico. Like, I chose to start in Mexico. I went to Mexico. I stayed in Mexico for a month without knowing anything, without planning anything. And after that, I went to Panama just to visit my friends from my childhood and see where I lived and stuff. And then an opportunity came up in Panama, and then I just stayed in Panama for those 2 years. But obviously, for the visa runs, I had to like jump around Costa Rica, Colombia.
So do you not have Panama citizenship?
I don't.
Interesting. Okay, so you had to like do it in batches at a time. So you got to
Yes.
see the whole Latin America.
I don't know if the whole Latin America, but I
Whole
saw
Central
a lot
America.
of I saw a lot of Central and Latin America. Yeah.
What's like the things you miss about it?
Oh, I guess first of all the nature, like the nature of Panama and Latin America is something that makes me even emotional just to think about it. It's like the greens and the sounds of the ocean while you walk, and the small stores with all the organic fruits that they just picked up from the trees. It's like literally wonderland for me. The music.
Don't you get that nature aspect here in Cape Town?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, because first off, it's not as safe. Like, you cannot just go alone to like a nowhere. You know what I mean? Like in Panama, you can literally go where I was living in Bocas. You could take a boat, go to another island where only you are there, and you're literally in that island by yourself with the ocean, with the waves. Nothing beside. Like, you cannot really do that here in Cape Town because it's not as safe.
There's also no islands.
And there's also, like, it's not the same aspect of nature. There is like the trees are surrounding you in a way. You're immersed in the forest, immersed in nature.
It's so funny. I always find it interesting speaking to foreigners about Cape Town because they always talk about how it's not very safe. But you talk to South Africans about Cape Town and they tell you about how safe it is because of just like the comparison.
Maybe it's
detail.
safe and I'm just scared.
Maybe, yeah. I definitely think there's parts of it that aren't safe. We lived in Woodstock before this, and I was terrified to go walk anywhere in Woodstock.
Really?
And that's why we moved out. Like, we didn't finish our lease there before we moved here. But here, like, my work is just around the corner, so I can walk to work, I can walk to gym, I can just walk around in general. I feel a lot better now in this kind of area. But Cape Town's strange because the best part about Cape Town is so inaccessible to people from Cape Town. Because Sea Point is where everything is at. That's what people think of when they think of Cape Town. But the rent is through the roof, and only foreigners can afford to live there.
Yeah.
And so you miss the nature aspect, and you were going to say something else about.
The language, 100%. But that's something it's just the language, the tradition, their directness, their way of expression and talking. Like, it's so real and careless. And also the music and the parties, it's like, wow.
I mean, I think people like the party life in Cape Town as well, but it's maybe a different kind of.
Completely different.
Yes, yeah. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't at all. So
Depends on where you go. Like I'm also not a person that likes techno and electronic music like
no,
that. I'm
me
not a
too.
party person. But there, when it's like a community, I don't know how to explain it. Like first
Yes,
of all, the salsa, it's like you're dancing with other people. You know
yes,
what I mean?
yeah. I think Spanish community is like a big thing. I recently had someone on the podcast who asked me to talk about Cuba to them, and I talked about the friendliness of just being able to go into anybody's house. You know, I told the story of this one time we were driving from where we stayed in Cuba, come away to Havana, and my brother the night before he drank this really bad smoothie, and he was like vomiting the whole morning. And on the way to Havana, he like grabs my mom's arm and he goes, "Mom, I can't see because he's so dehydrated and he has no sugar."
Oh my boy.
And we pull over on the highway and we see a random house, and my mom goes sprinting into the house. And not even 2 minutes later, she comes sprinting back out of two other ladies who has like a glass of sugar and water, and she's stirring it to give to my brother. And it's like, we didn't know these people at all. They didn't know us at all, but they were immediately willing to come help us or something. And that's just kind of the hospitality that you get in these Spanish countries. And I think some of it is maybe a product of, interestingly enough, like there's not a lot of Latin people in the world comparative to other races, which is interesting, because the big idea is like the more third world your country is, the more children you have. But it's not the case of Latin America. Like there's not a huge population there, and maybe it's just because the Amazon takes up so much of the continent. There's not enough space for people. But it does become this thing of like you have small tight knit communities, and because you just have small communities, you're more welcoming to people in those cases. It's often the big established communities that don't like accepting other people in. And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
why Spanish people are more social and more approachable in that sense.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think it must also be tough for you to, like, Cape Town's known as very cliquey.
Actually, I found the greatest friends that I've ever made in my entire life here
Oh,
in
really?
Cape Town. They're not specifically all of them from Cape Town, but you know, I consider myself as a leader. Like I was meant to create, I was meant to build. And when I came to Cape Town, I saw a gap. Not so much yes, in the market as well, but just a gap of true community.
Yes.
Like what it means for like true community, as well as the Latin energy of like life and craziness. So I feel like I created for myself in the beginning without any direction or without even knowing that I'm doing it. I created for myself a
Because what you
community of
wanted,
people.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Zumba that I teach is exactly what I was missing. You know, I brought it here so I can still experience it, obviously not in the same forms, but I feel like I brought it
Yeah.
to here.
It's something you couldn't live without, so you had to make do when it wasn't here.
Yeah.
Yes. That's It's just a lot of bravery to start something. I think most people talk about things they want to start, but they never actually do it. And actually just getting over that hurdle of beginning is tough for most people. Just because I don't think most people are comfortable enough with failing. And I heard a great quote from somebody where he said, "Embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. Go out there and make a fool of yourself."
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. And I think that's something that you, at least from what I gathered from your profiles and stuff, is that you're very unapologetically yourself. And I want to know, like, is that something that you were born with? Is it something you learned how to do, or is it just something that happened?
Mm, it was definitely built. Definitely. I come from a culture not now separating Latin America because I was raised in all my teenage years in Israel. And it's a culture where so much judgment goes around. It's insane. Like if you're a little bit different, you're so hated for it. And it's like I saw that and I try to like challenge myself all the time in slowly getting myself out of my comfort zone. And I was always, since like age 13 to 14, always so like magnetized about self-development and self-empowerment. And like I remember my first ever video on YouTube that I looked up was how to become confident.
Did you get recommended a charisma on command guy that was popular back then?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh,
I
he
don't
was so big.
remember.
I did similar things, so that's why I asked you
Okay,
this.
okay. Yeah, and I remember like the few first exercises that I did for myself.
Mm.
One of them was I used to challenge myself. Today it's like so silly for me, right? Because I look back and I'm like, but I used to walk alone, and then I used to challenge myself to sit like in a random bench out there and count like, and just to sit alone. I used to feel so embarrassed to just be seen
Oh,
alone.
wow.
And I used to like sit down for like, and I used to count like 10, 9, 8, and boom, get up and keep walking.
Interesting. I think that's a very fascinating exercise to do because now, with your phone always being on you, you can sit down, take out your
And
phone,
be with your phone
and you
and
feel
seem
less,
busy.
and you feel less awkward. You don't feel like people are watching you. But if you just sit down there and look out, like that's a different. I remember I was going to walk with someone on the prom a few weeks ago, and they were late by an hour because they got stuck in traffic. And I'm very comfortable by myself. I don't really worry about what other people think.
Yeah.
So I just sat down on a bench and I looked out into the ocean for about an hour or so. And this one guy came up to me and was like, "Hey man, are you okay?" Because he thought something, he thought I was like depressed or something. So I was just sitting there peacefully. And that's kind of something we've developed now is you can't just be by yourself, you know? And people are uncomfortable to be by
That's
themselves.
fascinating to
Yeah.
me. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. So that's like that was the first step you did was just sitting on this bench by yourself. What was the next things you tried doing?
So I used to choose monthly challenges of like something that I'm doing every single day for a month. And I remember this month that completely changed my life. And a lot of times I speak about this and people don't understand the correlation that it had with self-confidence, which is cold showers. And
Interesting.
I'll explain now why it's such a deep connection with.
Can I take a guess at it? Because I don't, how do I put this? I hate cold showers because I hate the cold water.
Of
It's not my
course.
favorite thing. But the idea, the principle behind it, I know is that doing tough things is a muscle. And if you don't train that muscle, it doesn't get better. So just the fact that you are willing to do something you know you're not going to like every single morning means you're better at doing things you don't like trying to approach people or be confident. The
100%. Yeah, you got it. And something very fascinating started to happen to me very naturally. Like throughout this month, by day 15 or like 20, I started to do really like, I just started to be more comfortable and more out. Like there was one time that I was in this party and there was this guy that I liked. And I never used to approach guys. Like I'm always like, oh, if a guy likes me, he needs to come to me.
yeah.
And one of my friends like challenged me to go like kiss him. I was 16, okay? And I'm like, and she's like, if you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, you know what? I don't even drink.
Yeah.
But I was like, cold showers.
Yeah.
Boom, just go in the water, just do it. And I go and I grab this guy and I just kiss him. I just kiss him, right? And that day for me was life changing. Life changing because I was like, what happened? Nothing. It's a great memory that,
Yes.
I created for myself.
Yes.
And I can look back and say, wow, I was so brave.
I love that you say like what happened, nothing. That's most of the time when you think about doing something risky, nothing is the outcome. And people don't realize that. They think I always tell people to play like the what's the worst that can happen game with themselves. So it's like you miss a meeting at work. What's the worst that can happen? Your boss gets angry at you. Okay? What's the worst that can happen then? He doesn't recommend you for promotion. Okay? What's the worst that happens then? You don't climb the corporate ladder. What's the worst that happens then? You have to look for a new job. Is that so bad? It's like, no, the actual worst case thing that can happen is not as bad as you think it is. So why are you fearing the worst case so much?
Yeah.
But most of the time, the worst case is nothing.
Well, something did happen. Actually, his ex was there and she got angry, but that's another thing. But, even that, like, it was a memorable experience that I still know to this day in my head,
Interesting. And that was kind of the beginnings of it. And you mentioned that story, you were 16, so this started really young for you.
Very young. Very young.
And you're 23 now, so it's been like a 7-year journey of just kind of building this up. Do you feel like you're still progressing with it, or do you feel like
It's an endless journey all the time. Like today I was thinking that I'm now growing my business is growing. I'm changing my prices, which is very scary for me. I'm like, oh my God, people will stop coming, or they see me as evil or what. But those are thoughts that are normal when you evolve. You know, it has to feel uncomfortable. It has to feel scary. If it doesn't feel scary, then you're not taking chances and you're not growing. You
Yes.
know?
Yeah, I think the thing of like people think you're evil or people stop coming and stuff. I think you're probably comfortable with where it is now, and trying to get outside that comfort zone is an intimidating thing. But that's you. If you just make lateral moves in your life, you never go anywhere, right?
100%.
I think the other thing to that is whatever you think about yourself or your own actions will always be worse than what other people think of you or your actions. You're your own worst
True.
critic. Now, there's obviously exceptions. You can have the world's biggest hater, you know, but that's not most people. I have one
And
guy.
even if they do, like what? Yeah,
Yes,
you were
yeah.
saying.
No, so I have one guy that leaves negative comments on my videos, and I'm like, I have 10 viewers. How is one of them not like me already? But it's also like he has his username on YouTube is like deleted user something something something. So obviously he's a nobody. So I'm not gonna sit there and get offended by this guy. Like, who is he? Why do I care? You know?
And what does he say?
He says stuff like I mumble too much or I don't give direct answers, which is like both true, but why does
At
he
least
care?
he's watching the video.
Yeah.
He's staying for the whole thing.
Yeah, he's my biggest hater and my biggest fan.
Yeah, of course.
I also think back to it, you know, like a few years ago, I was a bartender, and one of my managers at the bar, he just didn't like me at all, and I never found out why, but I did find out that I was right. He just did not like me. And I remember I used to be so worried about it. And I would think like, why doesn't he like me? Am I doing something wrong? Am I being a bad person to him? And now it's 3 years later. I've not heard a single thing about that guy. He's not in my life anymore. He doesn't affect it anymore. And now I think like, why did I care? You know, he was a temporary part of my life, and I spent so much
True.
time worrying about him.
Wow.
I do want to touch on you post about free will a whole lot on your page. Like, what did this story lead to that obsession of free will where you can just go do things?
Yeah, I think that people are so scared of their own shadow. I can give you an example of something that happened this week. And I was like, people are actually in that mindset. I was like actually shocked. I am a Zumba teacher, right? I host different events, and I started to do one in the promenade. And obviously people are watching, but they don't really care. They're walking around in the promenade, they see us dancing there, and now we're like 10 people just vibing, blah blah blah. And then I see one of my friends, he's running. It's a guy, he's running. But anyway, it's a guy that was running in there, and I said like, hey, my friend, whatever. And he's like, oh no, I don't want to dance. I don't even know if that's what he said. But he's like, oh, I can't like dance here.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, like when everyone is watching. I'm like, what? Like, who cares? Literally, who gives a shit?
Yes. So
Who gives?
I have an interesting story on that because I don't like dancing in public either. But I do love dancing by myself, like when I'm alone or whatever. And I also dance with close friends. And I was living with a roommate a few years ago, and his girlfriend spent basically like all her time at our apartment. She basically lived with us. So after a while, I got comfortable with her too. And I would dance around them just in the apartment by myself. And she would ask, why don't you ever do this when we go out? And I didn't really have an answer because like the immediate answer in my head was like, oh no, I'm just shy. But I don't think anything else about my character kind of suggests that I'm a shy person, you know? So I did what any smart person should do, and I asked my therapist about it. And he said, maybe the reason you're scared to dance by yourself is because you'll be signaling to other people you're by yourself. And it's something that I think about a lot. It's a lot of the things you fear doing, you fear what it says to other people about you, you know? And maybe dancing is just that lack of care is not something he wants to signal to other people for whatever reason. But I think it's stupid because we don't view other people's actions like that. You don't look at what other people do and think, what does it say about them? More often than not, you look at what other people do and think, what does it say about me? Right? Because I think when people see you dancing out in the park, they're not offended by your confidence, they're offended by their lack of confidence. And that's what bothers them, you know?
Maybe, yeah. No, listen, I'm not saying that I'm not a person that judges.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that if I see maybe a guy that is dancing very weirdly outside, I want that, but it's natural. Like that's how my brain works sometimes. And I don't like, sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, that person is weird. And I'm like, do you even know who they are? Do you know their story? Do you know why they're doing it? No.
Yeah.
So then I change it and I'm like, you know what? It's their life. Do whatever you want with it.
Yes. I think the one thing I heard on that that's maybe a good starting point for people is the more compassion you give for other people, the more compassion you give to yourself. So if you are constantly judging other people for doing, strange things or
Yeah.
doing confident things, you're going to judge yourself too. So the first step is to stop being mean to people and you stop being mean to yourself, you know?
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You had a really interesting quote. Oh, before I do that, the username on Instagram.
Volcana.
Yeah, where did that come from?
So when I was very young, I was obsessed with volcanoes. Like I used to print them, look at videos of lava. I don't know. Like always, it was something that I was passionate about. And like obviously, I forgot about that kind of. And then when I went on my journey in Latin America, there were two scenarios that happened in a volcano that kind of created this new personality that I kind of created. One of them was that when I left my country, something happened to my nervous system and it affected my digestive system as well. And obviously, the digestive system controls everything else in your body. So I was having brain fog, low energy, fatigue. I couldn't. My relationship with food was so horrible because I was scared to eat because of what was happening to my body, and I just lost confidence in myself. Like I didn't know if I could do things again the way that I used to. And in a place called Boquete in Panama, which was very close to my house, there is this very hectic hike that you wake up at 12 p.m. You go on a hike on this volcano for 5 hours. You reach to the top on sunrise, and then you go all the way down again.
That sounds ridiculous to do.
And I said to myself, before I leave Panama, before I leave this area, I need to do this. I need to try it. I need to know if I'm capable, and it was one of the scariest things that I did because I really didn't believe that I could do it because of my body and how I was feeling. And it was such a life-changing experience. Yes, maybe I was the last one in the group, like I was struggling a bit and stuff, but when I reached to the top, it was like something came off my shoulders. That doubt in myself just left my shoulders, and I looked into the amazing views of the clouds and the sunrise, and there's a big cross there. It's just a very spiritual experience. Yes. And all the way down, when I was walking down, I'm like, don't forget, like, if you can do this, you are capable of anything. And you will be like, and from now on, we're only just climbing up that volcano. We're not sinking deeper into those thoughts. So that was like part one that built that strength within me again. And then my journey continued. I went to Costa Rica and I lived in a place that was called La Fortuna. And also the way I found out about this place was very magical. And, yes. I heard all these dots connecting. And I used to watch this volcano out of my window every day. And I'm like, wow, this volcano has such a feminine energy. I don't know how to explain it. And I used to ask people like, hey, do you think Volcán Arenal is a female or a male? Like that. And they're like, well, of course it's a male. Or I don't know why is that question, And I don't know why. I just felt like it has a feminine energy to it. Like the way it was always so still and zen. And then I went on a hike with one of my friends to see the volcano from like very close by. And I was like, yo, this volcano, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's not a volcano, it's a volcana.
It's a volcano.
And he's like, you are a volcana. And then we looked at each other, I am volcana. And those two events, just the name volcana, when I said it out loud, it reminded me of my strength. It reminded me of my power. And people started to call me Volcana around. Like in Panama, everyone knows me as Volcana, Volcana, Volcana. And that's actually why I called the Zumba Lava Zumba. Like lava volcana.
Yeah.
Ignite your fire within.
Yeah, it's very explosive personality. That's such an adorable story. It did make me think of a joke I heard recently. I don't know if you know, but Bad Bunny was on SNL, and they had the one bit about a joke about how the kings decided to make the Spanish language in Spain back in the 1400s, and
Oh.
they're talking about the rules and everything.
Yes, I saw that.
And there's the one about what words are female and male, and they said the Bible is going to be female because everything you want to do, the Bible says no.
Yes, I saw that one.
But I love that you describe feminine energy as peaceful and relaxed, and Zen is a good word. And I've also noticed on that story, spirituality seems to be a very important thing to you. How did that come to be?
Wow, I feel like we're touching so many subjects of my life and
Yeah,
such
it this is what podcasting is about.
Well, I actually, when I was young, as I told you, I was looking into self-development, how to get self-confident, da da da. And I was following this guy. His name is Ralph Smart. He has a big channel on YouTube named Infinite Waters, and he was speaking about, first of all, spirituality, but mainly the law of attraction and manifestation, and how your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions actually manipulate and create your outer reality. So it's this theory, or you can, some of them, they don't call it a theory, it's a law that your energy is frequency in vibration, and whatever you think or feel, it's what will be reflected to you. So then I stumbled upon, like, I did my research. I was very like, yes, like this is what I believe in. This resonates with me. And I got a book named The Secrets. Has a lot of hate, but I love it. I think it's very like easy to read and straight to the point, and basically it teaches you how to use your thoughts and your emotions into what you want. And they said when you're starting out with manifesting, choose something very small that your brain can believe it. Like, yeah, maybe I cannot get $1 million from the sky, but what about one? You know, what if I can manifest $1, whatever? So I literally did that. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try it out. I wrote all the things that I want, da da da, and then I chose what I'm using as my proof of, okay, manifestation is real, da da da. And I chose to manifest a bill of 20 shekels. That's like $5 to find it in the ground. Long story short, I tried it for a long time and nothing came through because I was very attached to the outcome. Nothing happened. And then I decided to do the whole process again and try it again. And then I did, as the book says, like, ask for what you want, believe it will come, and let it go. Release attachment, know that it's coming, know that it's already yours. It's just a matter of time. So I did it again, and I don't know why. I felt in that meditation that I did, I felt such deep gratitude coming from my heart center. And like I literally felt God, and I felt that it's already mine. And even if it happens or it doesn't happen, like I'm so grateful, right? And after 3 days or so, there was a day I was just doing my usual stuff, looking at YouTube videos, and something just told me go to the beach, like go walk on the beach. I took my sports shoes, I go out of my house, I walk to the beach as I usually, like I didn't do it very often, but when I got to the ocean, I was feeling like this bliss in me. And before I came back, I felt it in my body. I felt something telling me, go to the left. like keep on walking to the left. So I turn to the left and I keep on walking with my headphones on, disconnected from the world, inside my own things. And I just stop. I literally just stop in the middle of this road and I look down and there I see the bill of the 20 shekels, the $5. It's what it's, under a rock. Like literally the bill under a rock. And I look at it in such awe. And I'm like pinching myself. Like, this is not real. Like, this is not real. And I grab the bill and I look to the sky. And it literally felt like it's true. Like, yes, I made this. You know what I mean? And I just started to bawl in tears. And since that day, the way I look at life, the way I look at myself, the way I choose to carry myself, and after that, all the things that I manifested, that I brought to my reality only with this tool, is unbelievable. Like my life completely changed. So I give all the credit to the creator.
I think it's so interesting that you mentioned God in that story. And I think a lot of people like poo-pooing on manifestation and meditation and things like this. And I always find it funny when Christian people do that, right? Because way back when, prayer was considered a form of meditation. It's not really anymore because now meditation is associated with the very Zen Buddhist ums and whatnot. But prayer is considered a form of meditation. And there's also the famous, well, I guess not famous, but very popular line in James where he speaks about pray for what you want and say it out loud and say it with your heart, because if you don't say it, you won't receive it.
Yes.
And I think that's a lot of what meditation is, or meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it. It's just you asking for what you want because you want it and believing that will happen. And there's obviously levels to it, because you wanted this, but you still went for that walk. And the quote I heard that I loved was, well, the quote I heard recently that I loved was, "God will steer, but you must row."
100%.
I love that analogy a lot because that's obviously talking about a rowboat. In a rowboat, you don't see where you're going. Your eyes are facing away from where you're rowing. You just have to trust that the guy at the rudder is directing you correctly. And that's life. You don't know where God's going to take you. You don't know what's going to happen. But you just have to keep on rowing. And you have to keep on going for what you want.
So 2 things I have to say. First of all, if anyone is listening to these words that I'm about to say right now, have them deep in your soul and in your brain and in your heart. Whatever you want, God wants for you. Whatever you want, God wants for you, because if God didn't want it for you, you wouldn't want it. And a lot of people struggle to believe that. They think that something that they want is a sin, or it's not good, or it's not good to ask. But God wants for you abundance. God wants for you blessings. God wants for you to be happy.
Yes.
And live the life that you desire.
So I want to push back on that a little bit because I agree, but not wholeheartedly on that. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, mainly because I've been tripped up by the idea of consciousness. There was a phase last year where I would just say I'm Christian, right? And there was a phase last year where I was questioning my faith and whether it is a God and whether any of this is real. And I was trying to look for evidence to, like, is there possibly something else except for the brain in your head telling you what's going on in the world around you? And I found this very interesting debate by these 2 philosophy students, I guess you could call them that, who are atheist, agnostic, whatever kind of label you want to put on it. And they're discussing how strange consciousness is to define, because it's true. And the exercise they give you is, imagine a triangle in your head. Can you see it?
Yeah.
It's got the 3 corners, right?
Yeah.
Where is that triangle? Where does it exist right now? It doesn't.
Another dimension.
Who knows, right?
Exactly.
And people try to think, like, where is the bound between consciousness and the real world starts and ends,
Wow.
And then there's also debates on, like, how do you define consciousness? And some people go, well, it's your brain firing electrons and releasing chemicals and blah, blah, and then you have consciousness. Okay, so if I had a circuit board that I connected a bunch of cables and pipes for the endorphins and whatnot to replicate that scenario, would you say that circuit board has consciousness? You wouldn't, right? And then there's other parts like, is memory a part of consciousness? Well, if you didn't have memory, would you be able to recognize what's going on around you? Like if you're falling out of a plane and you have no memory whatsoever, and not just long-term memory, not no short-term memory, you wouldn't even realize you're falling,
You
right?
would, because DNA has memory.
Well, as I'm saying, like if you had no memory, you would not recognize you're falling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And all these questions kind of lead to like, what's consciousness then, right? And I don't like doing this because it feels like a big cop out to call everything that you don't understand God, because that's been something that people have done for a long time and it's been proven to not be true.
Yeah.
But I do think that your consciousness is your soul. And I think one of the things that points to that is the fact that you have conflict within yourself. I don't know if you have this, but sometimes I'll have thoughts and I'll immediately challenge them. You know, like that's not true, or I don't really think that. And there's this conflict between your conscious
and you.
yeah, your conscious self and your subconscious self, right? And I think that's your soul versus your mind, right? I believe that everyone has a good soul. I believe your soul comes from God. And what your soul wants is very pure for you. Your soul wants to be loved. Your soul wants to be seen. Your soul wants to be taken care of. And then you have your physical body, which often in the Bible refers to as your flesh, and talks about combating your flesh and denying your flesh. And I think that's your earthly desires or things you want. You want, a lot of money. You want sexual freedom. You want all these things, and maybe aren't the most purest thing. I think the things that your soul wants, yes, God wants those for you too. But I don't think the things that your flesh wants, God wants for you too. I don't think God wants you to be greedy.
So God don't want you. Sorry, God doesn't want you to have money.
There's a difference between having money and being greedy. I think.
Of course.
Yes. I think the key distinction that someone made that I love is the second you put it above God, that's when it's a bad thing. So if you love money more than God, or money is your God, that's when God doesn't want it for you.
Yeah.
And that's when God's willing to take it away from you, to remind you of what is important to you. So I do believe that God wants the good things for you. He wouldn't want you to want things if they weren't meant for you. But I don't think the things that your flesh wants, God wants for you. Because my flesh, or maybe not my flesh, but some people will be like, my flesh wants heroin. I don't think God wants heroin for them. So I draw a line on know what's for you from God and what's for you from your
No,
flesh.
100. I love that you're saying that, because yes, a lot of people can misunderstand what this means. And then there's another question that comes. So wait, how do I know what my soul wants, right? How do I know what's good for me and what's bad for me? My recommendation for that would be to take as much proper care of your flesh, of your health, of your hydration, of your mind, of your time of sleep. See what you're consuming is so important. What you are consuming, you are becoming. And when I'm saying this, it's not only the Coca-Cola and the McDonald's that you had. It's also, what are you consuming online? What are you watching on Instagram? How many hours on Instagram are you today?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All these things will affect your capacity to channel, if I can use that word, channel what God wants for you.
I think another one that you should add to that is what kind of people are you spending time with?
Exactly.
I always say to people, you're the average of your 5 closest friends. If your 5 closest friends only want money in life, then surprise, surprise, you'll want money. But I do believe in that. I think another one is spiritual well-being is a very important thing. Silent time is something that I've tried to appreciate more of. Time where you're not thinking and you're not consuming and you're just living life. Because I think a lot of the desire from things comes from what other people want. There's this very clever saying where someone said, if everyone wanted to be happy, healthy, and loved, we'd already be happy. Problem is we want to be happier, healthier, and more loved than everyone else. And that's where the problem comes in. You don't want to have 10,000 Rand. You want to have 10,001 Rand because the other guy has 10,000 Rand. You want more than him. And I think that's what happens on social media. You see everything that everyone else has, and you already have enough to be happy, but you want more than what they have. And that's the root of dissatisfaction of your life and the root of greedy desires, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And comparing yourself to others without even knowing what is actually happening in their life. You don't know.
Yeah. There's another one on that said, you want what they have, not the methods they use to get there. So like everyone wants Elon Musk's money, no one wants what Elon Musk went through.
Exactly.
Everyone wants Michael Jordan's success, no one wants his lifestyle. So it's very important to recognize that, yeah, maybe you can want those things, but then you have to be willing to do what it takes. And I don't think most people are willing to do what it takes for those things. Yeah. How do you view, I like asking this question to people, but there's kind of, I guess there's three approaches to things, but there's two main approaches to life. Where it's you either optimize life or you maximize life. Optimize life is everything's balanced, you have work-life balance, you take care of yourself, you get enough rest and so on. And it's basically getting as much bang for your buck as you can, getting the optimal amount of yourself. And then there's the maximize route of it, whereas you just get more bucks, no matter how much effort it takes. And that's people like Michael Jordan and Elon Musk and Muhammad Ali, where it's an obsession for what they want. There's no work-life balance, there's no good sleep routines, there's no health. It's just pure determination for what you want. I'm always conflicted on which one is the better one for people. Should you look to optimize my life or should you look to maximize life? I don't know what you think on that.
I do think it's not a black and white concept. I'm right now in my life in a state of balancing. I want to find balance because I was in a previous state. As I told you, my nervous system was all over the place. I was struggling financially. So all the things is like, okay, now I need balance. Now my body, mind, and spirit need balance. And when I get to that balance, maybe I want to maximize it. Maybe I want to try new things. Maybe I want to fly out and do whatever I did here in another country. I don't know what I will want. Right now I'm in this space. And when I get to that place of complete balance and satisfaction, I will probably want to maximize it and test my limits and live life to the fullest.
Yeah, I think there's a great quote. He's from an ancient philosopher. I can't remember which one. Where he said, "What a shame it is for man to die not knowing what his body was capable of."
Say again.
What a shame it is for man to die without knowing what his body was capable of.
Yeah.
So what a shame it is to like not get to actually experience your. Want some help there?
No, it's fine.
Strong, independent woman.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's like never being able to see out your potential. And I think a lot of David Goggins has this brilliant quote where he speaks about the thing that made him go from being obese and I think he was working as like a line cook or something at a fast food restaurant to being David Goggins. And he said he always thought about, what if I die someday and I get to heaven and there's a guy in front of me in line and God's got big board up and he's talking about all the things this guy did, and I'm like, wow, this guy lived an incredible life. And I get to the front of the line and on my board it says motivational speaker, ultra marathon runner, Navy SEAL, and I look at God and I say, but that wasn't me. And he says to me, well, it could have been.
Wow.
And I think about that a lot. Is, most people on their deathbed, the biggest regret is I didn't do enough of life. So how do I get more out of it? How do I actually live to be enough, but also learn to be okay with I am enough already? And it's a fine line,
I think the main thing that people need to understand is they need to understand what is fear. Because a lot of people think that fear is, I'm scared of spiders. I'm scared. No, that's not fear. Fear, it's also fear, but fear is also this feeling of just like I cannot like be big, do random things, be that weird person in the room. Like that's also fear. And it's stopping them from expressing themselves, from trying new things, from evolving. A lot of people think, no, it's not for me. I was in a karaoke night with a few friends like a few days ago. And of course I'm gonna go sing because I'm in a karaoke. And the girl is like, no, it's not for me to sing. I'm like, why not? Do you think everyone here knows how to sing? She's like, no, but I'm not that person. I'm like, well, I'm not also that person, but today we are in karaoke night. We don't know when we're gonna have another karaoke night. And we need to take this chance to live life to the fullest and do it.
Yeah, I always hate that quote of that's not who I am. I don't know why people think that their good qualities are transient, but their bad qualities are permanent. That's never made sense to me. So if you say, I'm a fit person, or if you say to someone you're fit, and they go, yeah, but I can lose that fitness so quickly. But if you say to them, I'm shy, it's like, yeah, I'm just a shy person. Can't you lose that shyness quickly?
100%.
You know, why are the things that you've always been up until now that are bad for you permanent? And why can't you change that? I think the more important question people should ask is, how can I go about changing that? Because I think you can change anything. Maybe if you're diabetic, you can't change the fact you have diabetes. That's, you're out of
I
luck on
believe
that
you
one.
can, but I might get some hate on that, and it's fine.
There is no medical advice that has been given on this episode of the interview of Argu. We are not registered medical professionals. And this is all opinionated. Please do not try and cure your type 2 diabetes with our medical advice. Please
Yes,
give
you're
your.
right. I'm not saying I can. I didn't say that. I'm saying that I believe that there is a possibility.
I don't believe so. I think some things you just have to live with, and you have to learn how to live with it, right? And it's a whole other topic. I mean,
Yeah.
so I live with BPD, borderline personality disorder.
Oh, wow.
And for a long time, it was like I didn't know I had it, and I thought this is just how everyone was. And then I got diagnosed with it, and recently I've started medication for it, and now my life is a lot easier. And I think, with enough cognitive behavioral therapy and enough effort, could I have overcome this problem naturally? Yeah, sure, why not? But I've not felt as good as I do now since I was like 12 years old. So I'm just kind of accepting this is something I'm going to live with and learn how to live with it instead of trying to fix it.
Yeah.
But choose what you live with. You don't have to live with being shy. You don't have to live with this fear we always refer to it as the fear of man. And someone has a great quote about fear. Fear is like ocean wide but an inch deep. It looks way worse than it is. Once you actually step into fear and you see it's not that bad, you get over it very quickly.
I just want to come back to what we spoke about just now, about the diabetes and
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we limit ourselves as human because we don't see what we don't see, if that makes sense. Like hundreds of years ago, people were sure that the earth was flat because that's what they knew. But then, scientists came and they proved that actually it's round and that actually we have a galaxy and that actually the stars in the sky are not just dots. So I think that a lot of things have a way. We just haven't discovered that yet. And that's because maybe it's not our time, maybe because nobody discovered it yet. But I really believe in infinite possibilities and that everything has a reason and that everything, has a reason that it's there and can be changed if
I see
it's
what
not
you're saying. Yeah.
positive to our lives.
Yeah, we don't have the natural cure for diabetes, but we should maybe add comma yet to that sentence.
Exactly.
Okay, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Maybe that's true. We'll probably never live to see those days, but then again, I don't think our parents ever thought they would live to see the day that we have a fake sentient being on the internet, but now we have ChatGPT.
Exactly. There's so many more things to come.
Yes, exactly. I want to ask because you had like an interesting quote on your Instagram.
Yeah.
That said, it's about the galaxies and the stars, but not so much about the moon as much as it is about you.
Okay, so this is actually a quote from a song.
Oh, I love song quotes.
This song is so cool. I can't even remember I think the name is there. But he's basically speaking, it's like this song, it's a like electronic house song. And he's just speaking about, it's like a mind-boggling type of, he's saying all these phrases that you like think that you're understanding them, but then you're not understanding them. And then the whole message is like, you are actually all what you need, and you are actually full of love, and you are what you are looking for. What are you looking for? Is it love? Is it them? Is it... No, it's you. It's love. And then when you have that love, everything grows and expands. So that is one of the phrases that I can't explain to you exactly what he was trying to say, but the whole concept of this song, I have to remember the name of the song.
I love song quotes. I actually have a notepad in my phone of just song quotes I love. Because there's something beautiful about, you call them like two-line stories, like just two sentences that tell a story that's much longer because you can fill in the gaps. And the song that started this list was a song by my favorite band called Hannah, which is basically a guy. The song's about a guy speaking to a girl he's in love with in his hometown, but that they're going to now be apart because he wants to go explore the world. And towards the end of the song, he says, "Tell me that you're bored to death with the skyline that you never left."
You need to explain to me again. Tell me that.
You're bored to death with the skyline that you never left.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you're bored of the world, but you've never tried.
Yeah.
You've never gone out.
Yeah.
You know.
That's funny that you say that because a lot of people have this. I don't even have this word in my dictionary. Bored. I'm bored. What is bored? You have so many things to know, to discover, to ask ChatGPT, to ask the Google, to so many books to read, so many things to explore, to play, to think. How can you be bored?
Yeah.
You know, it's just such a limitation.
I have a different opinion about boredom. I think boredom is healthy in the correct dosages. I think if you're bored to the point where you never do anything for your life, then yes, please go try something exciting. You know, start a business or travel the world or whatever. But I think you need some amount of boredom in your life because I think boredom is a signal. You know, it's an emotion just like pain. You need to know it so you can deal with the thing that's causing it. And I think it's in boredom where you hear the things that are most important to you. But I do agree with like the world has so many things to do and so many things to try. And I'm so surprised by people that aren't willing to try anything, you know? Especially food. I don't get people that are like, I don't eat mushrooms. What do you mean? It's just a plant. Or like people that like we went to a restaurant in Durban where you can try crocodile, and someone's like, "Oh no, how can you eat crocodiles? Like you eat cow. It's an animal, you know. You eat a chicken. Like if we originally ate crocodiles, you'd find eating chicken weird. Just give things a try. Try different cultures. Is there some interesting things from all the cultures you've been exposed to that have kind of surprised you? You spoke a little bit about Israel and how kind of closed off people or narrow-minded is maybe the correct term. And you spoke about the friendliness of Latin America. But is there something, also maybe a bear question, how did you get to Cape Town?
Oh, that's another such a... My story is like a rabbit hole.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, in Panama, I got dengue fever. I was bitten by a mosquito. I was actually living in Bocas del Toro in a, like, off-grid, in a house in the jungle.
Interesting.
And there was a lot of mosquitoes, obviously, and one of them was carrying a very bad disease that catched me right after my birthday. And yeah, I almost died, actually. It was a very deep experience. And there's two things. I don't want to put all the like
details out there.
No. I mean like all the weight into, oh, it was God that told me to come to Cape Town. Yes, it was God, but also my father lives here. My father has his own company here now. And when I said to my father, like, listen, I was like, first of all, my father was very scared for my life. I was 2 weeks literally paralyzed in bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was trying to drink water so bad, but also like, I just purged it all. It's like, was one of the most intense experiences I had. And the first like understanding that I got when I was in such a low place was, okay, it's time to move on. Like it's time for the next stage in my life. And then the other message was, Cape Town is the next stage. And then when I shared it with my dad, he was like immediately, yes, tell me when, I'm booking you the ticket. Like now we're doing everything. And obviously I had that support. I thought that I was trying to try Cape Town for 2 months and see how I feel. And my father really, really helped me. He was like my cushion to, you know, okay, I have my dad here. I have a support system. And he really like helped me get my feet here, get me involved in some gyms, to teach in the gyms, and, you know, just to help me ground and get to Cape Town in the right way. So now I'm here.
Okay.
Kind of because of that.
I have this bit of a conflict, or I had this idea that I used to think ignorance is bliss. And one of my friends said something really brilliant that stuck with me, where he said, ignorance is just ignorance, you know? And I was actually speaking to Jason about this, where I was talking about how I wish that I didn't crave the answers that I seek. That I wish I could just not think about some of the problems that I think about. And he said, well, you do think about these things. That is just you. So just accept that you're not going to like the simple answers and go look for the complicated one. And that's kind of started this mindset in me of like, you are who you are. Cater for who you are. Yes, there's some things that you need to change. Everybody needs to change things to some degree, right? But for the most part, you have to learn to live with who you are, not who you wish you were. And that means building a life around the things that are core to you. You know what I'm saying? That's difficult, It's like, when do you draw the line on this is something that I'm okay with being a part of myself, and this is something that I need to work on and change?
Yeah. But I guess that's not, as I told you before, like, I guess that's not our job. We need to focus on ourselves. And there is something in this is very like spiritual, right? But in deep, like even Kabbalah, in spirituality, the concept is that you create your reality, meaning that if you work on yourselves, if you focus on you and create the best version of yourself, suddenly you will look around and you will see that the people that are around you will do the same. And you didn't do anything, you were just working on yourself, right? And I was speaking about this with my friend a few days ago because I'm going to Vipassana in a month from now.
Where's that?
You know what is Vipassana? Is you
Oh,
sit
no, sorry.
you
Yes,
sit
yes,
in
yes, yes, yes,
silence
yes,
for
yes.
10 days in
Yes.
meditation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And
Okay.
she asked me like, and what about your family? Do you see your family like also they're very into self-help stuff like that like you are? And I'm like, I don't know, like depends on the times, but I don't really think so. And she's like, when I started my journey and when I really worked on myself and I changed my life, all of a sudden my surroundings started to change as well and treat me differently. And I'm like, wow, that's fascinating because that's literally what the concept of manifestation spirituality is all about. Like people are your mirrors. If you see someone is not taking care of themselves, it's because part of you is not taking care of yourself.
Yes. Yes, there's actually a quote. She brought this on from like spirituality, and I always relate spirituality back to Christianity because I'm trying to get people to get rid of the idea that they're two separate concepts. Christianity is a form of spirituality, and yes, it's also people view it as the way and the truth and whatever, but it is in the end they are technically a form of spirituality. And there's a lot of talk in the Bible about bearing fruit and bearing fruits for others. The one is, you will know my people by the way that they act and the fruit that they bear. And then there's a saying of, I can't find the verse now, but it's basically bear fruit so others can eat from it. Be a good person so others may receive your goodness. And then the Bible obviously talks about it, so they receive the goodness so they can know God through you, kind of thing. But I do love the idea of if you want to help people, the best way is to help yourself.
Yeah.
And the best way is to be a good example for other people.
It's funny that you say this concept because one of my biggest mentors in life is my father, and he has this concept and he says like, today I can give from my fruit because I cultivated my own tree, I took care of it, I watered it. Now I have enough fruits not only for me but to share with others, and if you don't take care of your tree, you don't even have something to give.
Yes, and there's also the common analogy of you can't pour from an empty jug.
Yeah.
But the better way to say it is like your jug should be so overflowing that people can be filled from it.
I like that.
And that takes a lot. And I think there's a bit of selfishness to society these days, or selfishness to people, where it's what can I do for me? How can I make my life better? And I don't know, it's never been satisfying for me. I'm a strange person in the sense I love seeing other people happy. I recently had this board game night at my flat and I went all out for hosting. I made a charcuterie board, got food for everybody. And the reason is I love sitting around and seeing other people have a good time. It fills my soul so much. And I wish that for other people. I wish they could experience the joy of seeing other people happy and other people prosper from you.
But that's also being selfish.
True. It is.
Listen, I have this concept that selfishness is one of the greatest qualities you can have. Selfishness is not a bad thing. Selfish is taking care of yourself and loving yourself and filling your own cup. And you could do that. I also love hosting things in my house. I love teaching classes because I see how it affects people's moods. But I cannot come to a Zumba class and give it my all if I don't go to the gym every day and I don't work out every day and I don't meditate every day, because I will just not have that capacity to hold that space.
Yes, I think selfishness does get a bad rep. You're absolutely right. And you're right, helping others is a selfish act, but it's the best selfish act.
Exactly.
There are certain selfish acts are worse than others, I think emotional manipulation is a selfish act, and that's obviously a bad thing. But you're absolutely right, and I think people need to be more selfish. The people that are listening to this aren't being selfish enough. The people that don't care about what we think are too selfish already, so they won't hear this anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's a key takeaway for people. Like, be more selfish and take care of yourself. And I think wanting things is considered such a bad thing these days. Like, how dare you want something? And I disagree with that. Like,
Of course.
you have to want things out of life. Otherwise, what are you
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
If you have no desire, you are dead.
Oh, that's a good one.
Literally.
I'll remember that one for the next podcast. That's brilliant. Okay, we're coming towards the end, and we got one last section for you. We do something on the podcast called the lightning round. So you got 10 questions here. You're gonna have 15 seconds to answer each one.
Okay.
You can't repeat an answer. You can't change an answer. You can't elaborate on your answers. So whatever you say here gets solidified into history forever.
Let's do it.
And people will judge you until the end of time. So,
Amen.
okay, you ready? What's one hobby you couldn't live without?
The ocean. Is that a hobby? Cold plunge in the ocean, the sand.
You can't change. You're very good from the ocean. That's when this goes on Instagram, we're cutting the clip there. What's been your favorite travel spot?
Bocas del Toro, Panama.
What's the next place you want to travel to?
Egypt.
What's one thing most people get wrong about you?
That I'm disconnected from reality.
If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my God, I have only 15 seconds. What a wonderful world.
What do you want people to say at your funeral?
She was a light. She was sunshine.
Would your younger self be proud of you?
Yes, so much.
What comes first, passion or action?
Both.
Who do you appreciate most in life?
My parents.
Last question. Who do you want to see next on the podcast?
Was Jason in the podcast?
He has not been on the podcast yet, no.
Bring Jason.
Jason, you've been invited to the podcast.
We love you,
accept.
Jason.
Orian, it's been fantastic having you. Do you want to have any last messages for the people watching before you go?
Don't forget to be yourself. Being yourself meaning taking the time to first of all understand who you are. And even if it's weird in the beginning and you don't know how to do it, just try it. Take some time for yourself. Do weird things. Go outside, sit on a bench for 10 seconds, count it. Do cold showers and take risks. Namaste.
Namaste. If people want to see more of you or hang out with you or find you anywhere, where can they find you?
For sure. So obviously my handle in Instagram is Volcana, Volcana. And for Zumba, you can find me at Lava Zumba. And for all the wellness activities as well, I put in my personal page as well. So awesome.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for being on. I really appreciate having you. And if you want to be on the next episode, remember, all are invited and all are welcome. If you want to be on a podcast, just reach out to me on any of my platforms or fill in the link in the description. And until next time, have a great day.